Alrighty. What is going on? How's it going, everybody? It's Mikey Wine here, aka Gundam Morning Works, and we're live. Yeah, Julius is in. He's made it on time this week, everybody. He's in the chat first one in. It was a rough night last night here in the Pacific Northwest. We're dealing with called a bomb cyclone, I guess. Something unusual for this area, pretty rare. But yeah, we had some really stupid, crazy winds last night. Didn't sleep very well, so kind of feeling it right now, but we're going to trudge on. The show must go on, and we're going to keep working on this project. This is the Evangelion Crayfish Part 2, which is just the construction phase. I didn't do any work on it last week after the show last week at all, so we're going to leave right pretty much wherever we left off. I did a couple little pieces while I was waiting for the show. I was kind of getting kind of getting antsy a little bit. Started clipping some parts while I was waiting for 6 o'clock to roll around. So anyway, thanks for coming in. Let me know if you're in the chat. Just say hi. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the show, I go through the list and I make sure I give a shout out to everybody that I see in here that took the time to type something in, and whether it be just a hello or whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, if you don't, no big deals either. Still appreciate each and every one of you. I love the support, and I'm eternally grateful. So let's go down to, let me just drop this down to the bench here. So we're going to go closer in a minute here, but you can kind of see where we left off. I did put one of these little claws together. Started on the second one, and I'll go into a little bit of detail on that when I get started here. But last week we had the head finished here. A couple little feelers were put in. We're working on the claws now, which are going to go on these two big front sockets here. So why don't I just go down to, what's up, Nick? How's the baby doing? Good to see you as always. Let me go down to a close-up here, and we'll look at the bottom of this again. So on the head here, you got these two larger sockets in front. Those are where the claws are going to go. These are where the legs will be, and then we got the tail pieces will follow in the back here. But other than that, yeah, this is pretty much a life-size crayfish. I would say this is pretty accurate in size to what a real crayfish would be. So I'm imagining the scale is 1-to-1. And as far as these little claws here, this one is similar. I did not glue the red pieces together. I did glue this yellow half together just because I'm not going to be taking it apart again. If I decide to paint all of this, I will open this up and paint this claw first and then reassemble it, but I'm leaving glue off of this piece in case I decide, because I'm not sure what color if I'm gonna go with the colors of the kit, or if I'm going to try to make it look more of a realistic actual crayfish that we'll maybe do a resin pour. I don't know. That's another thing that's still on the table, but we'll see where that goes. Anyway, Julie says, "Hey, Nick, getting any sleep?" Hey, with the new baby. Yes, I remember those days too. Thankfully, those days are done for me as far as having babies. Now it's up to the kids to give us the grandkids, and then we can worry about that part later. So just a little bit of articulation. There is a polycap inside of this shorter, the actual claw piece that moves. So it gives it a little bit of tension. Kind of nice and not difficult to move at all, but still has a decent amount. There's also another one of those polycaps in here for this joint. But anyway, let's go. So this is what this piece looks like out of the the big part of the claw, and it's just two halves, kind of clamshells together. There is a polycap in here. I did glue this just a minute ago. Let it dry for a little bit. Use these little $1 little clamps you can find at Home Depot, and I used those to just kind of glue it for a little bit. Then I took it apart because I'll worry about seams later. The way they built this kit is that the seam goes right down the center of the claw, so it actually kind of gets hidden in these little, the little nubs of the claw itself. So it's not going to be too hard to address those seams later. What's Nick saying? Yeah. Little one is easy. It's the 2-year-old that's hard. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, the little one just eats and sleeps, right? It's the 2-year-old that's like mobile and getting into everything. So anyway, anybody else pop in and go ahead and say hi in the chat, and I'll make sure that I give you a shout out at the end of the show. So Let's get started here. I'm gonna get the old glasses on. Jason's in. How you doing, Jason? Good to see you too. How's it going down there in Oregon? Are you guys surviving the cyclone like we are? I know it's probably worse for you because we're kind of getting the tail end of the outskirts of it. I think the majority of it is hitting Northern California and Oregon. So we'll see. Fun times, yeah. We'll see what tonight brings. So far, the wind has died down. Last night, it was just ridiculous. It was blowing so hard that it was literally flexing the seals on my windows. I could hear the wind buzzing past the actual seals, and the rain was hitting it. I wasn't sure if rain was going to make it in the windows, because of the wind and everything. It was ridiculous. So a lot of power outages. In fact, we got to work today. The power was out at my job. Still was not even restored until about 2 p.m., 1:32 p.m. And they actually sent us all home. Well, they sent most of us home, I should say, at about 10 in the morning because they'd had a report that it may not even be back on until midnight, but they would possibly have power back on as early as around 1 or 2 o'clock, which turns out that's pretty much what they ended up with. So some of the guys stayed behind, the ones that live a little bit closer to work. I myself live about 47 miles away, so I was one of the guys that got to take off a little early. And you're doing models, and I'm doing plugs and coils on my truck. Mechanic's job is never done, right? Well, good. I appreciate you putting the show on, and then give you something to listen to while you're working away, Jason. Julie says it's been raining all day here in the Bay Area. So you're in San Francisco. Is that what I'm gathering, Julius? I'm sorry if I don't remember. I try to keep track of where people are located in the country, but I'm just going to say I'm going to blame my age. Just I don't remember these things. I'm horrible with names. It takes me a while to get used to everybody's names and where they're from. So if you're talking San Francisco, I can imagine because that's where most of that storm was hitting. So anyway, we got two. The main part of this claw head is another 2 halves, and then there is another polycap that goes in here. So there's about, let's say, 8 of these, or 6 of them, 6 of these long ones that go into the claw portions here. We are just north of San Francisco, yeah. So, you're probably feeling a good portion of that storm, if not still feeling it. We got most of our rain and wind last night. It did die down. In fact, when I got up in the morning, I get up at around 4. I used to get up at 4:30, but I started going a little bit earlier because there's a lot more traffic now with everybody moving to this area. So I get up slightly earlier than that just to kind of get ahead of it. Otherwise, I'm stuck behind a bunch of idiots on the road. So get up a little early. But my wife was up till around, she was downstairs trying to just kind of ride it out. I went to bed a little early, about 9 or 9:30. She said, actually, the power went off here at about 9:20 p.m. And then that's Pacific time. And then didn't come back on until after she went to bed, which was around 2:30. So between 2:30 and 4:30, it came back on. And we haven't lost power since. And of course, the wind is not nearly what it was like yesterday. It was ridiculous. We had 3 sections of fence in the area, like neighbors and stuff had pieces of fence go down. We fortunately did not have any damage, like fences and stuff, but some of our neighbors did. So yeah, if that's the worst of it, I mean, a lot of down power lines and tree branches in the road and stuff like that. But other than that, not too terribly bad here. So let's see. I think I lost track of which one I had. I think this is the one this was the first one I built. So I got to make sure I keep these separate here. Looks like this one, yeah. Okay, so that one goes here, that one goes here. Okay. We are just, yeah. So we got F1, F2. Oh, okay, that's the last of these polycaps. So there's going to be one more of these long ones here. It's the R9, one for each side. So that will get rid of all of these. I'm going to clip up just the one I need for a second. And we've got the other little elbow joint here. Now these pieces are actually undergated, which is kind of nice, but makes it a little bit easier to clean up the nubs. But again, most of these runners are so darn small. It's just like only like about 6 parts per runner, so it doesn't take much to finish them off. San Francisco. Well, I used to live in Dana Point. I grew up in Dana Point. First 19 years I lived in Dana Point, and then met my wife, moved out to San Bernardino area. Lived out there for about 19 years, and then we moved back to Orange County when I got a job back in Orange County again in, gosh, what year was that? 2011, 2011, I think, yeah. Because we were there for about 5 years, and then we moved up here in 16, so. All right, so this polycap kind of lays in here sideways. It keeps popping out on me. Let me see. Oh, that's because I think I'm using the wrong one. There we go. So this half is a little bit deeper. I guess this goes in and stays there. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so this half is definitely deeper, and it holds that polycap quite a bit better. And the only difference is this has one long peg here for the joint, but then the two female size holes there. So this comes up through the bottom, like so, and then this goes together. So like I said earlier, if I decide to keep these colors the same, which I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to or not. I kind of like the color scheme because it's the play on the Evangelion schemes. But if I decide to do this in some kind of a resin pour, or even if I don't, or even if I do the resin pour, I still could paint it either way. I might try to go for a realistic look, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where this goes later on. So that's done there. We're going to do the other side here. And we're just cruising through these runners pretty quick as I complete some of these joints. Just tossing the used runners in the box. So yeah, I wasn't sure last night thinking about tonight's show. I wasn't sure if what the weather was going to be like, whether I'd even be able to do a broadcast. I mean, over the years, we've been here for in this house for going on. Let's see, I think 3 years now. 3 years in May. So next year will be 4 years. Anyway, if I'm right, I think I remember that right. I don't know. Anyway, the power company has made improvements to the area, and typically we do pretty good in high wind situations. And even like in years past, we would have lost power where we don't now because they've actually done decent work. With the system, to withstand those kind of things and certain modifications and repairs to be able to handle those kind of extreme conditions. And so we weren't sure. We thought we might get lucky last night. We might be able to get through, but without losing. But they started flickering at about 8, maybe a little earlier than that. 8 p.m. started flickering a few times, and then a couple times they're actually reset the internet and reset our TVs a couple times, and then I guess after I had gone to try to go to bed, I really wasn't sleeping much, but I did try to go to bed, and then I did hear it go off because I have a little fan on that I keep just for kind of white noise, and I heard that go off, so I knew that the power was finally off for at least a extended period of time. And then sure enough, I guess it stayed off until about after 2 a.m. Yeah, it's been an interesting ride. Right now it's kind of calm, which is nice. I think, like I said, because most of it's hitting Oregon, California. We're just getting the tail ends of those whips, of the hurricane type situation, and so we're just mostly getting high winds and stuff. All right, so now I got this joint on. It's starting to look nice. These are nice because these aren't too terribly heavy, so if you do move them, they don't just flop around. Those little polycaps do the job and hold everything nicely. So let's get down. We got the last joint here for each side. These two, and this contains the ball joint that will actually pop into the body. This is probably the most difficult one to clean up because the little spikes are quite large, and some of these injection points go right in between those. So you're going to have to use a razor or something to... There goes another runner. So again, undergated, but like this one here is right along the mold line of the piece, and it's literally right in between two spikes. So I'm going to have to probably carefully cut that out with a razor, same on this side, and then clean it up with the thinnest sanding stick that I can, maybe even a file, one of my diamond files that I can get in between these. This is like the way I used to get rid of nubs with a razor blade, but don't do it much anymore. Usually use sanding sticks, but in this case, it's kind of in a really tight spot. So I'm just going to use the edge of this diamond file, and I can also clean up the rest of those little mold lines in between. All right. So who else is here? We got just a couple people watching still. Maybe only one actually watching. I think Julius, are you still hanging out? You're the sole survivor for now? Got a couple of coworkers that I told about. I told them to come in here and make sure the guys that actually bought me this kit, I told them to check in with me tonight. We'll see if that happens. Storm kind of threw everybody for a loop because it hit us pretty hard all at once. So some of these guys might still be without power. Although I think they got most of it restored in Shoreline area where I work. But yeah, unfortunately, all of our lifts are powered by electricity, and the networks were down, so not even our operating systems would work right for our... Even if we had power, which we do have a generator, emergency generator, so we could power things on, but there was no way to even use the computers really effectively, and it just turned out to be a really really not easy to operate. And so this goes this way, this then according to this comes in here. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay. And then this. Ooh, ow, those are sharp. I just tried to press that together and I almost popped a hole in my thumb. Those are sharp. Very realistic. Okay, so we got some joints here that work really nicely, different directions. We get the last one here on this side, and then we'll see. I think it's going to have us, the next step might have us actually pop those in. We'll see what the next page gives us when we get there. Let me just finish this side. Same thing with this one. Some of those nubs are right in the middle of these spikes, so I got to carefully trim them out, and there goes yet another runner. You can get some of them with nippers and sandpaper and sanding sticks, but it's these ones up here that are. What's up, Angel? Okay, back over here. Back over where? Oh, you went. Did you go home or something? Surprised with where we were positioned in the landscape down here that we didn't get blown away last night. Yeah, we had stupid high winds here. It's almost like, because we're on the outskirts of it, so maybe that's why we had such bad wind. You guys were kind of more ground zero. So maybe that's why the winds weren't as bad. I don't know. I have no explanation for it other than maybe that. Angel just popped in. He had some pretty bad wind. By the way, Angel, I don't know. We haven't talked since yesterday other than just telling you that I got sent home early. But did you have any more branches fall or any trees on your property, get damaged because of the wind? Because if it was strong here, I know it was strong at your house. Actually, I gotta use this guy. Angel's waving high. Are you at home now, sir? Because I don't even hear the wind outside now, which is a welcome relief. Because it was so bad last night. I mean, typically I don't get spooked by weather. We've had bad rain, in my lifetime. We've had bad storms and stuff that you've kind of lived through. Not like Florida and those places where you have like extreme flooding and just ridiculous conditions. So I never really get spooked. But I think last night when I heard that wind, I was like, man, this might be one of those times where we're having to board something up because, glass is breaking or something. We didn't know. It was so strong. You could literally hear the wind buzzing because it was pressing the seals back between the panes. The sliding part of the window was pressing those or flexing those panes apart so the seals couldn't keep the air out, and it was actually buzzing. All right, so that goes together like that, I think. At least that's what it looks like. So it would appear that I have them the same and correct. So let's flip over the page here. Only small branches, but it blew like hell, yeah. What I did notice, I thought it was kind of funny when I came home. I had to go. I went and got lunch for us after, because I got home at like 10 or 11 o'clock, almost 11. And so I went out to go get lunch for us. And when I came back, I just noticed all of the leaves, from all the fall trees and stuff like that, all the leaves were gone. It was like somebody swept up the entire street. It was, you couldn't see a leaf on the ground. Everything was blown away. It was just gone. Okay, so next step here looks like we're going to work on the tail. So over here later on is where we'll start popping everything in. Gosh, this is kind of cool. All these little feelers and everything. It's a trip, this whole kit. It doesn't even look like there's that many parts, but when you see this kind of exploded view of everything, and all the legs and the body and stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they all pop in. All right. So we're going to work on the tail, it looks like. Next. Jason says, our day started clear this morning and has only been partly cloudy and some rain today. Dude, that sounds crazy. Yeah, I know. I'm surprised. You're in Oregon. I thought you guys were going to get harder than we do. I guess it just depends on where you're at. Some places are getting hammered and other places aren't. And we've had some friends in California actually sending messages up here going, hey, you guys okay? Because typically we don't, I mean, we get a lot of rain up here, but we don't see this kind of high winds. It's pretty rare for anything like that to happen. So, all right, so step 9. So it's got a couple of, one of the sections has a white tail, and I'm wondering, I think some of these parts don't get used because there are 2 identical runners. One of them is red and one of them is white for the tail. Whoops, caught an antenna here. Let's see. In the parts chart, it doesn't show you. It's not like a Bandai kit that gives you little grayed out areas or X's when the parts aren't being used. So it looks like the white runner for all the tail sections, you're only going to use one piece. So I could do the entire tail in white if I wanted to and replace all of these red ones here with white pieces. But if I'm going with, I mean, for now, I guess if I'm going with just the way the color scheme of this kit, I think I'll just do it this way and then decide that later, see how it looks. If I want to keep them, I could even do them all red for that matter, because there is a C2 in red as well. So I don't even have to have this section in white if I didn't want to. I could just do the whole tail in red if I was going to paint it more of a realistic color scheme and leave it alone. So it sounds like everybody survived the first, real windstorm here with all that. We did get some rain too, and I was worried about the temperature, hoping that it wasn't going to drop into the 30s, because the last time it blew really hard like that and we had rain too, it froze and it created this polished sheet of ice on the streets, which did not make for a fun evening at all, or fun morning, I should say, driving into work. It was really bad. All right, so we're going to stick with the way the book shows it right now. So I'm going to do it just as shown here, and then later on I can decide if I want to change it up. So C number 1, that's right here. First section of the tail. These also appear to be undergated, so see, yeah, there's actually 6 tail sections. And it looks, oh, you know what? This is cool. Each one of these tail sections has like a double ball joint here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so once you build these sections together, then there's this double ball joint. So the whole tail is going to be articulated. Nice. It's kind of cool. All right, so we're going to leave this here. I'm going to be going back to that. So those articulated joints are done with these. Whoops, not this one. It's the R section. Where's the R? Oh, that's the polycaps. Okay. Oh, no, those aren't in there. Okay, so these aren't what I thought they were going to be. These are included in the tail, but it's actually a polycap which does the joints. So R1. This is going to be one of those things where you have to really pay attention to make sure you're not mixing up these pieces, because they're all different sizes and they're designed specifically for the section you're working on. So L1, this is a clear piece, kind of opaque. I'm not sure why it's clear. I really don't know why it's clear, but for now we'll just drop that right there. All right. These are sort of undergated except for the sides. For a tiny piece, there's actually 4 gates on this thing, so take a little bit of sanding here on the edges. I think I can get away with a 400. And maybe not. I need to go with a stick here. Giovanni's in. He says, hello, everyone. I'm late to the party. My friends are all planning to go to lobster fishing in the next couple of weeks. Take this kit with you, see if anything bites. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I've been actually... It's a funny story when I was growing up years ago. I mean, I was grown up. I was an adult, but, back in my early adult years, I was actually... We would go fishing at the Dana Point Harbor off the original old dock. It was pretty much an excuse just to go drink beer or whatever, and put a couple poles on it. So we're inside the harbor on the original pier, which was pretty short. It was next to an old two-masted schooner that these do tours on. And so we had our poles in the water, and we're just kind of hanging out, talking, drinking beer. And I noticed the line went slack on my pole. So I was like, all right, something. We used to put 3 baits in. We had one on the bottom, one kind of midway, and then one a couple of feet up. So that way you get it, different levels with your bait, And as I went to tighten up the line, I noticed it wasn't getting tighter. It was just kind of spooling in as I was trying to reel it in a little bit to tighten it up. It just kept sagging a bit. And so I gave it a little pull, a little tug, and felt like, something was there, but not sure. And as I'm reeling it in, thought maybe, something kind of hit it and then left. And so as I bring it up, I realized I'd actually hooked a lobster. So that's the funny part, is that I actually I've caught 2 lobster off that same pier with a hook and line. But later on, when we tried to use traps to catch them, we couldn't catch anything. But as soon as I put a pole in the water, I was catching them with a hook and line. I did that two times in two separate trips there. So we had some fresh lobster that night. That was good. Okay, so here's the first section. So there's this little kind of opaque piece in the bottom. And then you've got the red shell with this little double ball joint. One side's here. This one's going to connect to the body, or back here, I think. This is going to pop in. There's a little ball joint sticking out of the back of the body here where this is going to go. But then the other side is for the next of the tail sections, I think. This goes... Yeah, I'm not sure how this... Gosh, these instructions are a little tough. You got to really pay attention to the orientation of these pieces, especially when you go into the assembly process of putting them together. At least this one's a bit easier to see. So yeah, this will go on here, and then we'll have those individual sections come together. So hopefully tonight we can get through all that. I'm going to cut off the one and only white piece here that we're going to use for... Let's see, 2 for the Evangelion scheme. All right, so that goes back on the wall. We don't need you anymore. Cobra, what's up? Cobra is in the house. How you doing, Josh? Good to see you again. Appreciate you. We're just talking about the storm, pretty much, and how it has affected us for the last day or 2. Hopefully you survived it unscathed as well so far. It's the first time, I will admit, it's the first time I've ever heard the term bomb cyclone, which is kind of creepy, but yeah. So, all right, so I need R2 now. R2. Star Wars reference, R2. Only Cobra fans here, dropping by real quick to say hello. We are halfway there, huh? Weirdly enough, the storm had no effect. Wow, yeah, bomb cyclone is a new one, right? I know what you mean. That's exactly what I was saying. I was like, damn, it sounds horrible, but in most cases, I guess it's not. So L2, I need to bring. Oh, that was one of these clear sections here again. Okay. So far, the fit's pretty good with these pieces. It is very comparable to Bandai or something like that. Haven't had any real fit issues at all. I think I want to use the 800 on this, just so I don't put too many scratches into this opaque piece. You're halfway there. What does that mean, Josh? You're halfway there. Are you talking? Are you on the road or something? Or am I just being stupid and missing something? All right, let's put this together. So the flat side goes to the back. It would appear this one is. Oh wait, it does have a direction to it. Oh, I got it backwards. Really, I thought that was only one way, it would only fit one way, but it does go, this goes toward the flat. See, that doesn't feel like it fits right. Oddly enough, it fit better this way. So I think there is the picture is kind of wrong on this picture, because it shows these little, I don't know if you can even see, like right here on the front of this, there's a rounded area that sticks up above it. So if you look closely, you can see there that inserted piece. There's a flat side, and then there's a side that has these little rounded bits on each side. And the directions kind of show you flipping that around, like completely 180 it and going in the other direction, but it doesn't appear to fit that way very easily. So I'm going to leave it this way where it actually does fit. Yeah. I think it goes that way, so I'm going to leave it that way. So we're going to go together. Yeah, everything seems to be fitting like it should by leaving it that way, so I'm going to leave it. All right, so other than the storm, how's everybody's Wednesday doing? Everybody doing good? Everybody upright and fully clothed and alive, so to speak? C3. So we skipped over 2 because we're using a white piece on the other runner for that second piece, and then we're going to go ahead and the next section is another red one. Everybody, anybody in the that's actually watching, go ahead and pop your name in the chat. Just say hello if you want to. It doesn't have to be much. That way, at the end of the show, I'll give you a little shout out. If you don't want to, no big deals. But I like to go through the list of everybody that ever said something in the chat and kind of give a little shout out to everybody. A little extra appreciation for those that could type something in. I know if you're driving or something like that, obviously, don't. I'm not going to have you do that. But, yeah, it's nice to hear. Nice to know who's actually hanging out and watching. Okay, so this is the third section here, and this is again another directional piece. It has to go in a certain direction. Let me just clean up the notes here real quick. These are kind of undergated, which makes it quite a bit easier to... That was my wife sneezing, if you all heard that, which you probably did. All right, so I'm going to try this the way this shows it and see if... Yeah, okay, that one fits. Okay, so this one was correct. I think this one was backwards. At least the bottom piece was flipped. It didn't seem to go together that way, or the actual inserted piece, I should say. So I switched that around. Thank you, Julius. I'm sure she'll appreciate that. So let's see here. This has to go this way. Ah, I had it and I dropped it. Okay, so that goes in like so. All right. Yeah, that looks like it fits right. So I'm going to leave that one there. Moving on to the fourth section here. All right, so another polycap insert, which is number 4. Yeah, these are in order, it would seem, as we're going down the sections here. These inserted pieces are 1 through 4, as well as every other piece is also seems to be 1 through 6 if I'm going to count them all, but I'm working on number 4, so I'm not. And then C4, if I'm not. Yep, C4. That would be this one. Pretty simple build, if I'm being honest, which is fine. Simple's good sometimes. Sometimes I don't need complicated. Trust me, I complicate things myself by adding LEDs and sorts of stuff like that. I can make things way 6 times, 10 times harder than it needs to be. So something simple is kind of nice for a change. Simple and easy. Giovanni says, I painted the thrusters gold and aluminum for the Witch of Mercury entry. Nice. Gold and aluminum, huh? Is that using all-clad metallics or a different paint? Which kind of paint you use, Giovanni? If you don't mind me asking. Put that out there for any modelers that are wondering what some people use for their metallics. I know I used to use all clad a lot for anything metallic, just because they were outstanding for metallics, but that's pretty much all they're good for, it would seem, especially because they've changed their formula so many times that their black base isn't exactly the easiest to use anymore, unfortunately. All right, so that one fits exactly as shown. And there's just enough surface detail on these to see which direction these go. There's like if you can see here, there's a larger ridge, and then there's a small little groove and a smaller ridge here. So that tells you which is front to back. All right, so now we're on number 5. C5. But a lot of different companies, including like Mr. Color, they're all coming up with newer metallic paints and stuff like that. It's making it very easy to just want to use those, because they're very much less temperamental than the all-clad stuff. I mean, all-clad at the time, this was back in probably 2015, you couldn't find a chrome paint very well that was just awesome. So yeah, it seemed like that was the way to go. If you wanted to get something really, really clear, you used all-clad. But now, with the super metallics line that that Mr. Color has, and I'm sure there's some other brands out there too. It's hard to complain about them, and especially because Mr. Color stuff is still very durable, like it always is. And I know that all clad metallics can be very fragile at times. And you have to use if you're going to try to clear coat over them, you got to make sure you use an aqua gloss. If you try to use a lacquer paint, you'll end up just stripping it right off. It just, or turns black. It just melts the metallic finish, and all you see is your black base underneath. I didn't use all clad this time. Thus, this time for aluminum, we used AK Interactive Extreme Metal. Nice. And the gold using Gaia. Okay. So two very good paints. I have not used them personally, but I have heard very good things about them from other people like George, old school. I know he loves the AK colors as well. I have some, but in fact, the ones that I have are the ones that he gave me, but they're not metallics. They're more for like an armored kit or a tank or something like that. So they're military colors, but I'm kind of excited to use them for the first time and try them out. I've heard they're very, very good. And I know Guy Notes, you can't go wrong with Guy Notes. It seems like everything they make is just really nice. As far as being comparable to Mr. Color, I think Guy Notes is pretty good. I think Mr. Color has more variety of colors, but I could be wrong there too. It's just because I have a huge collection of those colors from Mr. Color, and that's pretty much what I use exclusively. So, all right, last one here, and then we'll get on to the tail section. So, or the last tail, the fan part of the tail section. So, number 6. Actually, I'll just put that on the screen so everybody can see that. So, if I'm reading it, at least this way people can. There we go. People can see that on screen. In case you watch the video later, that way I don't have to worry about missing something that I said. I try to put those certain comments on screen so everybody can. Whoops! Did I just lose that? Yep, caught it. Almost dropped that. Okay, that's better. All right, 2 more here. I need number 6. The polycap. There's only a few small caps left on that. Here's the last of the opaque clear pieces. So this will finish off this runner into the bin. Let's see here. I wonder if these clear parts are made to look like, I think they're made to look like the meat of the tail. Like, if you were going to cook up a crayfish or cook up a lobster or something like that. You have that kind of that opaque, when it's raw before it's cooked, you have the opaque kind of meat, you know. This looks like it has to go in this direction based on, yeah, that's correct, because the way the part reaches, there's that polycap kind of has an extended tube on one side, so it has to go one direction. I think I got it. Looks exactly like it should. Okay, so there we go. Now, the tail section, a little more complicated here, because it's got some of these little ball joint pieces. In fact, there's a three-way ball joint, two polycaps on the other side of it. So we're going to go with, oops, no, I think it's over here. Yeah, that's the E runner, or no, it's a P runner, excuse me. So P6. All right, yeah, that is this guy here. So it's kind of like a T. There's a ball joint at the end, and then you've got a pin on either side. And then, actually, I guess I can just leave that here. And there's going to be two of these small little disc-shaped polycaps that are going to go on these ends. All right, so I need to take two of these, and those are the 10s. Yep, okay, so there's actually four smaller ones, but there's only two of these 10s, so don't drop one. And it's gone, it's gone. I have wood floors now, and I thought that was better than carpet, but I've actually lost more pieces with wood floors than I had with carpet, which is kind of funny because the wood floors, there's a gap under the baseboard, a little bit of a gap, and they slide, you know, a small piece slides underneath, gone. Never see it again, unless you want to try to pull the baseboards off and look for it. Let's see, Giovanni's got a long one here. Let's see, it says, for me, this is my preference when I paint a kit. The inner frame has to be metallic. I know a lot of people using German gray for inner frames. Yeah, it's all preference. I totally agree with you. I used to use actually UG05, which is a Gundam color, and it's a dark gray, but it has a little bit of a metallic look to it. In fact, let me see if I can find that behind my laptop here. So UG05. Yeah, here it is. So I kind of got the laptop on the desk here in front of my rack of paints here, but this is Gundam Color UG05, and it says it's MS, you know, UNT's MS gray, but it does just look like a dark gray, but there is a little bit of a metallic to it. So if you want to go for super shiny, you know, go for something like a steel or stainless steel or something like that. But if you want a little bit of that flake, just some small metal flake, then you could use UG05. But there's certainly options out there. A lot of cool ways you can do it, depending on how shiny you want something like that. But yeah, totally personal preference. Okay, so looking at this tail section here, those other little polycaps are going to go into each one of these petals, or so to speak, of the tail, and so that's going to mean each one of those is posable in its own way, which is interesting. And here it shows a diagram of what that should look like when you finally assemble it all. So I've got this little ball joint section here. I need to cut this out, number 8, which is the top of it. We're actually getting very close to being, you know, to the assembly part, because the leg sections are all one piece. It's just a matter of cutting the nubs off. There's a few injection ports that need to be cut off. But other than that, it's just sanding those, and we should be able to assemble it. So with any luck, oh, okay, my lights just flickered. Let's hope that's not a sign, guys. Like I said, I'm going to keep going as long as we can here, but the wind picks up and we lose power. We apologize ahead of time and say, sorry, guys, we did what we tried. We certainly tried. I will say, though, that the lights flickering is not uncommon. It was one of those things we noticed with the improvements that they made for wind and things like that in the area. Occasionally we do get some flickering, but that's just the system staying alive. We don't lose power. We just occasionally get a little flicker. Last night was an exception because we actually had it actually shut off for a second and came right back on, even though it never really went off. Everything kind of reset. My internet, my TV, all that stuff. Did that a couple times before it finally actually crashed for good, which was about 9:20, I think. No wind here, Angel says. Well, that's good. Because I don't hear it either. I've got my blinds down, but I usually, if it's blowing really bad, I can still hear it outside, but I certainly don't hear it now, so I'm glad. So the flicker is probably just normal stuff that we get. Okay, so here is the underbelly of that. Now I've got to, this is going to be kind of tricky. So I got to cut out 4 of these little polycaps. These are little tiny donuts, really. They're going to act as tension for each one of the leaves of this tail. I'm trying not to, I'm being real careful to make sure these don't roll away because they are like a donut shape. So as soon as I clip them, they want to take off and run. Okay, so that is it for polycaps. That's done. Runner's gone. Okay. Now what I got to do is cut out these individual petals here. So, and then we'll do the assembly of it. It would appear. And then there's a bunch of stickers that are supposed to go on, but I'm not using stickers. Sorry, I'll mask this thing off and paint it before I use stickers. So to put these in order, I'm going to start from my left to right. So K5. I'm going to keep these in order. So as I assemble it, I don't have to worry about which one goes where. So this one's far left, so I'm just going to drop it there. Next one over is K2. Okay, that's this guy. Put you there. All right, so 1, 2, and then the next one is K1. A little bit of cleanup on these, mostly undergated, but, and then lastly K6. So these won't take much. And there's a couple little feeler pieces that are still on this runner that are going to go on in a couple of steps after that. So we just clean up these nubs, and then we'll start the assembly. So you see this that little ring, that's where that little polycap's got to go. So real small. I want to make sure I don't drop anything while I'm trying to assemble these because they will take off and go running down the bench or on the floor. It's the last thing I want. Might still be working in the area. Yeah, that's a very good possibility, Angel. Like I said, it seems like they're always working on something, but last night was pretty bad. My wife was telling me she was just trying to get internet on her phone, even though the power was down. You still have cell service, but even that was giving issues, and she couldn't even get service enough to use her phone to call in and get or report the outage. So it was kind of like one of those times where you're like experiencing this for the first time. It's like, wow, this is pretty bad, All right, so only a few little tiny nubs here. It's not going to take much. The wind kind of didn't, it didn't really stop here. It's just kind of breezy, though. It's nothing like it was yesterday. So I can kind of hear what I think is wind but it sounds to me more like just like a high breeze, a little bit of tree rustling around a little bit, but nothing like, oh God, we're in for it, that kind of thing. So once we get all these parts trimmed off here, we're at 7 o'clock. I'm going to keep trudging away, and hopefully I'll be able to get this thing finished. I got about 8, 9, 10, 12 more parts to clip off of runners and assemble here. So we'll see if we can pull that off. If I'm close, I'll just go a little over and finish it, that kind of thing. Okay. So in order to do this, I need to insert these little thing in there just like that. Okay, so there's that little polycap inside. This is why I'm being super careful, because then I've got to press it down onto that. So I think I screwed up. I'll mix these up. Big ones go to the outside. Okay. I kept them in order for the most part. So the second one goes here. And this top piece will kind of push everything down. It looks like and secure it. So, all right, there's 2. 3 going together now. So 3 goes here. And then 4. Okay. I think that's it. Yep. All right. And then this, oops, almost forgot. This little polycap piece has to go in the front like that with that little ball joint. And then this goes on the top and seals everything off. Holds it all in place. So just like that. Okay. Now let's build this tail. So section number 1. Oh gosh, now I got to cut these little sections off. So now I've got, not only I've got those now I got to pop off P1. That's a longer one. So the long one goes in between. Oh shit, they're in order. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to do this one at a time because they're all different lengths. I thought it was just a matter of clipping them off and then putting them together, but they're literally 5 or 6 different lengths of these little barbell type ball joint things. There's like a ball at each end, so it's kind of like a double ball joint, but they're different lengths. Holy crap. All right, so first one's first. Let's pop this in. If I can get it in there. Wow. Okay, so first one in. That fits really tight. It's actually not easy at all. Okay, second one. This goes together. Almost put that in backwards. I think that's in. That's what it shows. Now I need number 2, which is a really stubby one here. Gosh, these are so small. Sorry to keep going on about metallic paints, but on my PGXia inner frame, let me put this in screen just a second. No worries, Giovanni, you don't have to apologize. Use 5 different metallic colors and put them on a PG Unleashed inner frame. I think mine looks better. Yeah, so you use not only like silvers, you use some golds or bronze, copper, stuff like that. That's good too. Particularly if you're going to see those parts of the frame. I mean, sometimes when you're building that kind of stuff, it's like, you know, are we really going to see this? Oh man, this is going to come apart. So it makes it kind of challenge yourself. Like, do I want to do this much work? Because am I going to really see it? You know, that kind of thing. Is it really going to be seen? This is probably the hardest part of the assembly of this kit, is all these little joints. So third section here. Yep. Because not only do they swivel up and down, they swivel side to side, so the whole thing has this way of, okay, now number 3. Working my way through these little double-sided ball joints here. All right. Who's pinging me? Somebody's pinging me. So you're hearing my phone go off. Okay, so number 3 goes in the back of the third section here. Oh gosh, okay, and then the 4th is here. Okay. Uh-oh. I knew something felt like it was coming out. This is where glue would help quite a bit. Yeah, I was right about those clear pieces. As they go together, they look like the meat of the tail. If you were to be like, you know, eating or boiling this sucker up. Okay. So that's the 4th section. Now I need to put in the 4th. These ball joints here. I've only got 2 more left, or 3 if you include the actual tail. The tail has its own ball joint on there. This is going to be one of those things, like, if I ever take this apart to paint it, I'm going to have to really be careful to make sure I know which nub I'm using, you know, which one of these little ball joints I'm using. Okay, so the last section here. Oh, wait. 4. Yeah, that's 4. Oh, okay. So 5, this goes in here. I think it's easier to pop this into the section you're putting on first. I think. I don't know for sure because these are really small. And then 5. Okay, gosh. So small. All right, that's all for that runner. Yeah, because if you could easily forget the order of these and then have the wrong distance between the sections. And this has such a tight clearance between the 2 ball joints, I can't even get nippers in there really to get that piece off. So I'm going to just clip it. All right, so this is going to go end of this one. All right, so there. All right, so first, pop this one in. This is the hardest part of this whole kit. Oh gosh, that one keeps popping up every time I put any pressure on it. Okay, there, and now the tail. It's going to go in there. All right, so there's the tail. Gosh, what a pain in the butt. All right, so now we got to flip this over because we got stuff that goes into here as well. Good God. And then this will go on to here. So that is the length of the body and the tail. Very much a life-size crayfish, I would think. Okay, so, but we're not done yet. Let's flip this over. So 3 and 4. 4 goes on the left. Which again, I will make sure to keep track of. So I'm going to pop that one down over here. 3 goes on the right. Pop you over there. That way I don't lose track of which side this stuff goes on. Because, I mean, even though you could accidentally put them on the wrong side, I think they just don't look quite right if you don't have it right. So I guess it's not too terribly bad. But what I may have to do when I take this thing apart for paint or whatever is to label everything in a left and right. Everything I have a left side and right. Everything that goes on the left side is over here. Everything goes on the right side over here. And that way, when I go to assemble it again, I'm not losing track of what goes where. So, all right. So this little feeler pops into this ball joint here and goes there. And then this one, just like so, like that, I suppose. And now I've got 6 little tiny sumbitches. Oh my God, this is a nightmare. God, these are small. Okay. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now I'm going to keep these in order. So I'm just going to start with number 7. And go down the line. I don't think I'm going to clip them all at once. It's just too hard to keep track. So 7, this is going to go. I might actually have to use tweezers on this because it is just, not only is it a tiny piece, but it's very hard to get down into where it needs to go. Like that. Now number 8. Yeah, I never feel like you guys got to apologize for anything. If you want to comment on something, by all means, talk away. I mean, that's the whole point. So that way we can share our little experiences and stuff like that with other modelers and inspire other people to try new things. Maybe somebody might be on the fence whether or not they want to buy a certain product or something, to use. Oh, crap. Okay, good. I found it. Whew! That was one of these black feeler things, and it jumped off and landed in my lap, and it was right on the edge of my chair. Didn't fall to the ground. Somebody might be on the fence, like I said. So if they hear a positive experience about something, then it might inspire them to go out and get it and try it. Oh gosh. This tail keeps curling up on me as I'm trying to press these in. Which is kind of funny because that's probably what it would do naturally. Okay. I think I got those in the right position. They do kind of swivel. They're supposed to be angled forward a little bit. There we go. Okay, now I got to do the other side. 10, 11, 12. We're getting close, boys and girls. Okay, so then this goes on the opposite side. Crap, I had it. I might have to use my, I'm using tweezers, but I think I'm going to go with the needle nose. These needle nose pliers that have a little bit more pressure I can put on these pieces to get them in there. Because it's really just a press fit in this clear opaque piece. Just go straight down. It's a long peg. All right, that one went in just fine. 11. I'll try these first, but if it doesn't work. So this goes through, I just realized that this goes through that clear piece, but then it goes into that polycap core. That's what kind of holds it. So there is like a rubber kind of some tension there that holds it in place. Okay. So I've got one more of these little feelers. Just trying to get that to go down a little further there. Okay, so there's that. So those are in. Now what's left here? I got legs. No, there's actually, I guess those aren't pieces. They look like two pieces right here. Well, they are. They are listed as a piece, but what is it? Interesting. There's two pieces, but I don't see where that goes. Yeah, it's not even listed as a part. Looks like we use. There's numbers on the runner, but well, I guess they are listed, but I don't see where they are in the book unless I missed something. Let me go through the book real quick here and make sure. I don't think I missed anything. Nope. It's all red parts. We got the tail. Enough of that. Yeah, now there's a couple of pieces I guess we don't use. All right, well, at least I know I'm not missing some. So, all right, last but not least here, let's see. I got all the legs here I got to cut off. So we're going to put, let's see, let me do these first. So these are going to go in the front here, on the bottom of the head here. Wow, I was thinking it was about 9 a.m., but just looked at the clock and it's 7:20 p.m. Why were you thinking that, Julius? Your diorama for lobster should include the cup of noodles kit. Yeah, and some chopsticks. Yeah, that's true. I just read your other comment. I just missed it. That's funny. Yeah, I was talking about that too with some other people at work. I was like, yeah, they make a couple of noodles kit, but that would be Bandai, versus this is Fujimi. All right, so 1 is there, 2 is left. So I don't lose track of which side these go on. I'm pretty sure that runner's done, but it has 2 parts that we don't use. So I'm going to leave it there for now until I'm 100% sure that those pieces aren't used, and then I'll get rid of it. It's not something I can really use for another kit anyway. It just looks like the way it's molded, it almost looks like a bridge that, for the plastic to go through the mold over to the other side. I don't even think it's really used. All right. So these go in front. These are the little feelers that pull food into their mouth, I think. So that one goes there. This one goes here. All right. So there. All right. All right, now I got to cut legs. So are these both the same? H and J? No, they are different. So all the H pieces go on the left and all the J's go on the right. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order. So like I said, most of these are just going to be sanding nubs a little bit. There's one little injection pin that has to kind of be cut off on each one. So that'll be one spot to sand, but it shouldn't be too much unless there's a mold line. So I'm putting these in order because I have to put them on the kit in order. So I'm going to try to keep them that way. Three. This is number 4. Oh, this one's got one extra. Here's a question for everyone. At what point do you say I have too many model kits in my backlog? You say you should post some pictures of the 2 inner frames side by side. That's a good idea. So yeah, everybody put that out to the room there. At what point do you decide you have too many kits? Well, depends on how old you are. That's one of the things, because there are often times where I have gone through and looked at my backlog going, I don't know if I'm going to be alive long enough to finish all these. Because if it takes me X amount of time to do one kit and I look at how many's in there, something to think about. I don't think there is any kind of actual spec like what's too many. What's too many? It doesn't matter. It's your collection. You do what you want with it. No reason to worry about whether or not you think you have too many. I started out small like everybody else. You buy one, then before you finish one, you're like, oh, there's another one. You buy another one. Pretty soon you start. That's how a backlog starts, because you're buying kits faster than you're finishing them. But no big deal. At the end of the day, it's still a hobby. So as long as you're enjoying it, it should be all that matters. So I don't know if I'm going to get this thing done today, guys. I'm going to try to here, but I think I got a little too much left. I got too many parts to clip off and clean up before I can assemble this. So let's see where we're at 7:30. Keeping these in order because they go in a specific order on the kit, so I gotta make sure I don't forget which one goes where. So that's why as I pick one up, I'm putting one down. Oh god, here we go. What point do you become a collector or a hoarder? Well, a hoarder is more than just a collector. I think if you get to the point where you have pathways that go to your rooms because you have things on the ground, you can't even walk through your house, well then I think that makes you a hoarder. Julie says, exactly, I figured I would not be able to finish all my kits I have before I start pushing up daisies. Yeah. I told my daughter that my backlog is her inheritance. Yeah. Sure, she's really happy. Like, what do you mean, Dad? That's it? That's all I get? All right. I'm going to press on here. I think I might just go a little over tonight to see if I can't finish these up. Oops. Just these nubs. Some of these are monster nubs, and I gotta sand them off first. Yeah, I don't know what my kids would do with my backlog. If I said this was your inheritance, they wouldn't. They don't build models, so probably end up doing like that guy around George's group. Just say, here, give them to one of the groups and go, you know what, just donate these. Just make sure if you take something that you're going to build it, you know. Pass it on. All right, so I got 4 more legs here. I'm going to cut these off 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order. And then I'll see if I can do this final assembly real quick before we check out. So I am going to run just a little over, I think. There's number 1. But that's all right. There's no set time. I just go until I feel like it. I think the first couple of broadcasts I used to do when I first started doing these, I was going 2 hours, and that just seemed a bit long and drawn out. So I bumped it down to an hour and a half, which is still long, but it's a little bit more. Eventually, people just start losing. You know, nobody sits through a 2-hour movie, let alone a 2-hour live broadcast. So, I mean, very rarely. It's easier to sit down in a movie, not necessarily a live broadcast. So I try to keep that to an hour and a half. I mean, I could even go shorter than that, but an hour and a half is pretty good so far. All right, so I'm going to keep going here until I can do the final assembly here, because really all I got to do is cut these legs out pop them into the joints here, put the claws on, and then the legs as well. And then we'll see what it looks like. But this is definitely a 1-to-1 scale. It's the same size as I remember a crayfish being when I was catching some as a kid in this little creek by our house. You should take little pieces of bologna down there, and they would come up and grab it, pull them out of the water. Shit, did I just fuck up? Okay, that one is... Oh, that's the last one. Okay. I almost lost my order there. I did exactly what I said I wasn't going to do, lose track of which position is winning. But if I was to compare these two, it's shorter than that one, so it's got to be the back leg. Happy little trees. Yeah. Yes, I am building an EVA unit. Welcome in, by the way. Caught me right at the end of the stream here, but that's okay. I'm going to finish assembling, doing the final little bit here, and then we'll pop these legs. And this is the Evangelion Model 02 Crayfish. Happy little trees. That would be a reference to, what was that painter's name? Oh my gosh, running a blank. He always said that though. Happy little mistakes, happy little this, happy little that. Probably the one artist with the best hair in the world. Bob Ross, that's right. Did you also build a little Shinji and Rei? No, this was actually a gift. The question was, did I actually build the little Shinji and Rei and Ayanami? And the answer is no. Like I said, this was just a birthday / Christmas gift from a couple of friends at work. And told them that I was just finishing up a project. It was kind of perfect timing. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna build this. So that's what we're doing. I'm not sure how I'm going to paint it, what I'm going to do with it, whether I'm going to even finish painting it. We'll see. Right now, I'm just trying to get through the build, the snap project here, and then we'll figure out if I'm going to do a resin pour on it or what. It's all things I don't have. So if I was going to do a resin pour, it would have to be at another date because I just don't have that stuff. I don't have any of those supplies. So in the meantime, all right. So let me fix this, finish this up here. So I think it's probably easier to pop this tail on first. I say that, but I don't know. We're going to find out. So that's going to go in like that. There we go. Tail's in place. Ooh, also just ordered some resin. Oh, you did, huh? Nice. I'm doing earring sets and smaller works. Okay. That's cool. All right, so right to left, front to back. So here we go. One. I like these little polycap type little ball joints here. There's a nice positive snap that you can feel that when they pop in there, and they hold quite well. So there we go. There's one, and then front to back on this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now all I got left is the claws. So gotta make sure I got the right one here. So this goes, yeah, this has got to be this side. Yep. Boom. And last but not least, almost had it. Okay. All right. So there you go. EVA02 Crayfish. Some nice little articulation there. Let me take this out of the way so you can see it a little bit easier against the bench. There we go. That was fun. It's a fun little kit. Yeah, we'll boil them up, curl that tail up, throw them in the pot. Have some southern fried crayfish or something. I don't know. We'll see. Congratulations. Where is Misato? I don't know what Misato is, so can't answer that question. Where's the butter? Butter's on the counter right now. It's softening, and Maria's going to do some baking maybe. I don't know. I saw some butter on the counter when I came home. So some of these parts, in fact, all of these parts, I will end up gluing later when I assemble this whole thing again. If and when that happens, I will be gluing some together. But I left some of those parts, most of them that I could take apart for painting purposes, and then seal them back up and mask them off if I'm going to do that. But I kind of like the color scheme. These have some nice articulation too. But I might paint it to make it to look absolutely real, and then I'll actually exchange this section with one of the red ones. There was a red part that I could put as a whole runner of white pieces that could actually make the entire tail white or red if I so choose to. Where's the Waffle House? I don't know. You're asking me questions I can't answer. So anyway, folks, let's go back up here to, we're just a few minutes over. We're going to go back up to bench. We'll see that. And I'll go up and look at my face here in a second. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. So, all right, boys and girls. Let me go through the list and say thank you to everybody that joined in the chat tonight. Julius, Nick, we got Jason, and we'll go down. We got Angel. Thanks for joining in. As always, appreciate each and every one of you. Jason, Giovanni, Cobra, Josh, if you're still here, appreciate you as well. We survived the storm so far, so we'll see. And then let's see, we already got Giovanni, and then we keep going down to Happy Little Trees. Thank you again. Nice to see you. I appreciate you. Welcome in. This is your first time, I think, so I appreciate you coming in. And I definitely appreciate the support. So with that, boys and girls, we'll see you next time. I'm not sure what project will be on the bench. We'll see. I'll have to figure out something to build. I've still got a couple of Macross kits that I've been itching to do, so we'll see. Maybe one of those. Or, I don't know, maybe we'll do a ship or a car or maybe a tank. Like I said, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But again, Big Good Humans, I appreciate you guys each and every day. You each and every week you join in and support the channel. Tell your friends, like and subscribe. Check out the Amazon store if you haven't already. There's a lot of supplies and things that I use every day during this hobby, and all that stuff is right there. We got more comments. Night all. Julie says good night. Cheers, buddy. Thank you again. Again, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. And hopefully next week we won't be dealing with storms and all that other crap. So we're going to head on out and catch you on the flip. Play outro and end the stream. Yeah.